Are there any completely new asset classes that one can invest in? Bitcoin is an example of a completely new asset class that was invented in 2008-09. It went from $0 to $500 billion market cap in 15 years. Feel how you may about Bitcoin, but it was the best performing asset of the last decade and of 2023 YTD with a 100 return. Early adopters investors are likely all doing well financially. Similar to this, are there new or relatively new asset classes that one can be an early adopter in? Something that may end up being the best performing asset of this decade? Give me your wildest answers and I'll research them all. Survivorship bias. We have very few assets classes because they are the only ones to prove performance and reliability over the long run. Litigation finance, viaticals, royalties, clean energy infrastructure, all of the various types of commercial real estate, hedge funds of all kinds. There are many other asset classes. The problem is that in the US at least you have to be an accredited investor or often even a qualified purchaser. Back in 2005, friend told me about this company that was like a grocery store where you could buy toothpaste, batteries, etc. Except you ordered everything on the World Wide Web, and then they shipped it to you in the mail. Sounded pretty sketchy to me. Not new, but there are plenty of asset classes overlooked by most investors: micro-cap stocks, preferred stocks, convertibles, floating rate debt, commodities, tail risk insurance, etc. Managed futures are now available in ETF wrappers. Funds like CTA, DBMF, and KMLM. They are more expensive but arguably are the best uncorrelated diversifier to stocks and bonds. Ornamental gourd futures, carbon credits, solar farms for tax equity. Not completely new but close enough. Psychedelic pharma stocks, NFTs. Drop all your money on monkey pics. Pokemon cards and GameCube games. They can't be influenced by algorithms. Japan created a new index focusing on growth companies. Should be a few new ETF early next year. Mars real estate, in maybe 20-30 years. Carbon credits are relatively new. KBRN-KRBN is an ETF that tracks them. Cannabis is rapidly evolving from an illegal plant to a huge brand new legal industry. Less than 5% of people actually understand Bitcoin or have spent 10 hours looking into it seriously. It's still very early lol. I'm looking into starting an investment company where I will take money and invest it strategically within trading cards. This doesn't necessarily answer your question, but yes, there are new things out there. I am gonna go out there a bit. I think some forms of this might already exist in student loans. Investing in people. People sell some of their human capital equity, not debt, but instead a stake in someone's future potential, like their future earnings. E.g., you estimate a person's present value of future earnings throughout their life is 2 So you buy a 10 stake and give the individual $200K today. For the rest of their life they pay you 10 of their earnings. This could be capped or come with a buyout option. Hoping to hear some wacky ideas. I've always been a fan of crowdfunding life insurance on people in dangerous jobs. Go up to some guy in lumber and offer him a free $1 million life insurance policy. His family gets half and the investors pay for it. These policies can also be bought out by others if the price is right. It's like fantasy football but with money. And real people. I believe royalties? Not completely new but definitely more accessible now than like a year ago. I wouldn't invest in them, but it's an option. Non-GMO seeds. They'll be extremely valuable after World War III. What about the oldest one? Land. The higher above sea level, the better. Max life insurance plans for your parents is actually the best investment. My uncle died recently, leaving about total of $2 million asset to my 25-year cousin. Half our insurance payout. It's pretty remarkable how few comments actually answer your question, up. Including this one. Crowdfunding fine arts. Bitcoin is a manifestation of an asset class that has been around for ages. The non-productive bubble asset. It doesn't matter whether it's tulip bulbs, purely speculative stock, or in this case, spreadsheet cells with a bunch of jargon obfuscating what they really are. Bubbles will always be with us. There's a million shitcoins out there. Take your pick. Regen Ag. I suspect ICE will be able to acquire and own resources. So owning an AI yourself may be a productive asset. Large language models are already writing code and running businesses with human assistance to manage the friction between interfaces of systems, plus holding the bank account and physical premises. If AI lives up to the hype, I imagine owning your own money-making AI may be a possibility. Additionally, you're likely going to need AI to defend you from all the scams, deepfakes and personalized brute forcing that's likely to happen when someone unleashes a LLM with the aim of scamming people. Bitcoin may have come out in the 2000s, but it was not an entirely new asset class. In 1982, a man named David Chaum invented the concept and called it e-cash. I believe some version of that original concept still exists as a business. So cryptocurrencies are really about 40 years old, and calling it an asset is still debatable. They're not accessible to you. Carbon credits, life settlements, FDA trial financing, etc. They're mainly for institutional investors. NFTs, but they are already in the $I-77.3R. Hindsight is 2020. Bitcoin was and still largely considered a scam even today. It could easily disappear just like all those .com companies during the last tech bloom. I heard tulips are in. When climate change starts to hit hard, see Acapulco news. Tropical storm turns to Category 5 hurricane in 6 hours. And destroys the city in an area that 20 years ago never had a hurricane. There will be millions of refugees moving to livable safe havens. Land and real estate in these safe havens will be an asset class nobody saw coming. Land bank now. AI? Maybe? It's not a new asset class. And it's not even a new technology. But the advancements being made in AI over the next 30 years will create a multi-trillion-dollar industry, all of which will be fueled by semiconductors. Most people here will tell you to buy VU and chill. And don't get me wrong. That's great advice. And I do that to an extent. But I am also betting big on the future of AI. I believe SOXQ will outperform the SP 500 over the next 30 years. That being said, I'm just some asshole on the internet. So don't take my financial advice. Do your own research. Bitcoin is in its infancy, just invest in that. Bitcoin is not an asset, it's literally just bits floating around on some computers. Man facepalming, light skin tone. For all intents and purposes. Bonds. If you're under 50, you probably haven't had to deal with a rising rate environment where risk premium is a factor. Bitcoin was not the first attempt to make a cryptocurrency, projects had failed before then. It was the best performing asset of the last decade and of 2023 YTD with a 100 return. No? $NVDA is up 180 YTD, and that's just one example. Why are you lying when it can be so easily verified?